namely that antidepressants often do not do what they promise and are in fact causing harm to many.
Dr. Steve Hotze is suing over Obamacare's employer mandate.
It's time for a wellness revolution. Brought to you by Hotze Health and Wellness Center. Honest discussion on maintaining health and wellness naturally to enjoy a better quality of life.
He's the doctor fighting to let you keep your doctor.
Now, Dr. Stephen Hotze.
Good afternoon, everyone out there. Thank you for joining us today at Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution. I'm Stacey Banfield here with Dr. Stephen Hotze, founder of the Hotze Health and Wellness Center. If you've got questions for Dr. Hotze, you can always call into studio live, 713-212-5950. That's 713-212-5950. We're also on Facebook live, so you can go to Facebook, type in Hotze Health. That's Hotze Health. You'll be able to watch Dr. Hotze, not just listen to him on the radio program. And, of course, we've got our podcast options. You can go to hotzepodcast.com. That's Hotze podcast.com. You can download any or all of our radio programs, watch them day or night. It's very convenient, and we do appreciate everyone who has been downloading those podcasts. So now, without further ado, we do have a great show today. Jeff Yates will be coming on a little bit later to update us on his path to doing a 180 and taking charge of his health. Now, here is your host, Dr. Stephen Hotze.
Thank you so much, Stacey, and thank each one of you for joining us today on Wellness Revolution. You know, if we're going to change things, you've got to take action. You've got to make an impact. It's not about what you do while you're alive. It's about being alive and making an impact for the purpose that God's called you to do. And to do that, you got to be healthy and well. If you're not healthy and well, you're going to be dragging through life kind of like a snail or a slug, rather than be like a cheetah out there making something happen every day, going out there and hunting and producing. And that's what we want for you. In order to do that, you need to do a personal revolution in your own lives, and a revolution always brings about change. You've got to change the way you think, because what you think is what you become. And if you think of yourself as unhealthy, tired, fatigued, overweight, non-productive, unlikable, not pretty, you're going to be that way. Whatever you think you are, you become. So you have got to change your thinking, and that means you've got to perform a self-revolution. You've got to change yourself, and you've got to take charge of your health. And we've talked about that over and over again, and I'm drilling it in because I'm telling you, I'm not going to be here to talk to you in a month from now. I'm going to be gone. We're leaving the air in 1 month. We'll be gone the first week in November. So I'm going to give you 1 more month of my coaching, and that's it. After that, you'll have to go to podcasts, when they'll go to Dr. Hotze's podcast.
That's right. All they have to do is go to hotzepodcast.com, and they'll still be able to catch not only all of the radio programs that we have recorded, all of the future broadcasts will all be on podcast, right, because quite frankly, that's the way a lot of the information age is going, to podcasts. It's
going to podcasts and to video. Of course, we have a YouTube video.
Yes,
and we'll be on Facebook. But we're going to change the direction of the way we get our message out, because it turns out we can reach far more people through other platforms than we can simply on the radio. So for all of you that have been with us for the last 15 years, thank you for being with us. But we know this, and we've looked over time, radio audiences across the country are declining because people are finding other avenues to gain their research and to learn. And so ways that are done is a lot of that's done through the online services that you have, Facebook, I guess Snapchat, Instagram, YouTubes, and all
kinds
that.
of social media
Podcasts.
platforms. Sure.
So there's a lot of different avenues, and we're going to be pursuing that, and we'll let you know exactly how you can keep up, because we're going to continue leading a wellness revolution, and we can do it much broader, and we can do it in a much greater vein if we do it using social media than if we have one strict TV or radio program. So I hope you'll understand that. So for those of you that are radio listeners, you got 1 more month. We've given you 15 years to take charge of your health, and if you haven't done it now, no excuse. You should have done it. Now, let me tell you what we believe here at the Hotze Health and Wellness Center. What I believe is that you need a health coach. You need a doctor and a staff of professionals who will coach you onto a path of health and wellness naturally so you enjoy a better quality of life. That makes sense? Without using pharmaceutical drugs. Does that make sense? If it does, then you're a good fit for us. We could partner with you. If you don't believe that, you can just go about your business, go see your doctor, have him put you on a bunch of drugs, get sicker quicker, die younger. You can do that. Or you can just do nothing and grit your teeth and bear it. You got three choices. You can either take charge of your health, you can do nothing, or you can go to a conventional doctor and go the disease drug model where they drug you up for every symptom you have.
Well, one way or another, you're making a choice.
Going to make a choice. And you should make the choice to take charge of your health. I really don't know. Why do you think it is, Stacy, the vast majority of people won't take charge of their health?
Well, you said it a little bit earlier. You have to believe that you can get there. What you think about is what you become.
Right.
So if you get in a rut and you're going day by day, or even if you've been told by a doctor, hey, you're just getting older, you'll have to live with it. There are some people that will buy into that. And they're like, well, it's a doctor. That's what the doctor said. So I guess I am getting older. This is just a part of life, just this slow decline. And then they get on the pharmaceutical drugs and they have that trust that their doctor has what's best for them. But as you have said on so many programs, many times the doctor may be well-meaning, but they are a slave to the system,
right,
to the pharmaceutical companies, to the insurance companies. They are not going to talk to you about how to get healthy and well naturally. And doesn't it make sense to just replenish your body with the hormones and the vitamins and the minerals where your body is depleted to get back to where you need to be? And we've treated over 31,000 people,
right,
which is amazing. And so I am always dismayed when I hear about people who still come to us saying that their doctor still says the same things, that when it's not in a blood test, they try to put them on an antidepressant, or how they're, like the lady you saw recently was actually on 25 pharmaceutical drugs. That's terrible. No one should be putting someone on 25 pharmaceutical drugs, and yet it happens. But we know it's not healthy for people. We know that there's a different avenue. And once people come in, they say, wow, I wish I had done this earlier because I feel so much better. And so many people come in and say that they feel better than they did even when they were really young,
right,
than when they were in their 20s. A lot of people have struggled with various symptoms
for decades.
And it does start at earlier and earlier ages. We know part of that's the environmental toxins that are going on that is affecting the thyroid, the fluoride in the water. We've talked about that quite a bit. But it is really, I think, the better path to get healthy and well naturally, to get off the pharmaceutical drugs. And then that actually winds up saving you money, and you have a much better quality of life in the long run than if you go the other route, the conventional route.
Exactly. When we come back, we're going to visit with Jeff Yates and see how Jeff is doing. I had dinner with Jeff last night.
You did?
Yes,
Oh, great.
So we'll catch up with him today.
Fantastic.
On the next part of the program.
All right, great. And if you want to do a 180, take charge of your health, if you've been struggling with a lot of these symptoms that we've been talking about, then it's so easy to just give us a call, 281-698-8698. Have a conversation with one of our wellness consultants. See if we can help you. We would certainly love to serve you. It's 281-698-8698. You are listening to Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution. Please stay tuned.
Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution, your daily dose of radio reality.
Right. And if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired and want to do a 180 and take charge of your health, then all you have to do is call us at 281-698-8698. We'll be more than happy to not only give you a complimentary consultation, but a complimentary copy of Dr. Hotze's best-selling book, Hormones, Health, and Happiness, and his latest book, Do a 180, Join the Wellness Revolution. That's 281-698-8698. Now, we've got someone very special on the line that we'd like to bring on, but, of course, we want to play his awesome intro. So hit it, Mr. Producer.
In September of 2016, Jeff Yates had reached a breaking point. Jeff was overweight, diabetic, hypertensive, lacked energy and zest, was on a pot full of pharmaceutical drugs, and he needed help. That's when Jeff decided to do a 180 and take charge of his own health. Now, 1 year and 3 car wrecks later, Jeff has kept off 25% of his body weight. His blood pressure and blood sugar are controlled without medication. And he's feeling all right. Oh, yeah. Here's Jeff Yates.
Jeff Yates. How are you?
How can I ever live up to that intro, Stacy?
Sound for sore ears is your voice.
I know.
I hadn't been on with Jeff in at least 3 weeks
while.
for me.
It's been too long.
But I was with Jeff last night for dinner at my home.
All right.
That was a nice get-together, Jeff.
We had a wonderful time.
It was tremendous. Well, now, Jeff has been on the program since September 9th of 2016. So we're 13 months into the program. As you may remember, Jeff came in, weighed in at 387 pounds, had adult onset diabetes, had been placed on oral diabetic medication years before, and then for the last 2 years prior to coming in, he'd been on insulin, 1,000 units a day, 100 units a day, plus another long-acting insulin shot. Plus, he had high blood pressure. So, at the ripe old age of 48, I knew that if Jeff kept down this path, and he's my good friend of 30 years, I knew that it wasn't going to be a happy ending on that. It would be a quick ending, and I told him that. And I challenged Jeff to take charge of his health. And he said, "Let me check on my wife first." And tell me what
It's true.
Tell me what she told you.
Well, she said, it seems to me like he's throwing you a lifeline. If I were you, I'd grab it.
There you go. So we know Donna's a godly woman. She's been praying for your health for a long time. And so as it worked out, you came in, and within 2 months, I told you, I said, all this medicine is going to kill you. And you said, yeah, I know. I've gained 100 pounds in the last 2 years on insulin. What did the doctor tell you when you mentioned that you gained all this weight on insulin?
Well, she said usually the weight gain's not that drastic, but she said it is an unfortunate side effect of insulin that you will 100% gain weight.
There you go. So, and you did. So this is really healthy. So when you gain weight, then your blood pressure goes up. Now you got high blood pressure, you got diabetes. It's going to have heart disease. You're going to have a whole health of problems, degenerative on and on and on and on. Increased risk of cancer. You're going to have strokes, all these things. And they just say, well, you got to learn to live with it. When you take the insulin, we just got to keep your sugar. Well, the key thing is not the problem. If somebody has elevated sugar and diabetes, the question should be, why do I have it? What can I do to cure it? And it can be cured. Adult onset diabetes can be cured because it's caused by insulin resistance. Your insulin is made by your pancreas, and it controls your sugar levels in your blood. If you're on a high, if your metabolism is low, and then you're on a high simple carbohydrate diet, means you're eating a lot of grains like the government tells you to do, and like the agricultural department, the FDA say, eat a lot of grains. Well, look at what it's resulted in our population. They put fluoride in the water that poisons our ability to make active thyroid hormone to get your energy level up, and then they tell you to eat a lot of grains. It's a recipe for sickness and illness. And, of course, the pharmaceutical companies grin from ear to ear because they got drugs for all these problems, and they're going to make a fortune, and they're going to feed the politicians with all their PACs. And it's one big happy deal. We're going to keep the American public sick, and we're going to make a lot of money off it. We're going to keep them chronically sick, and they're going to be a cash cow to it. So that's, Jeff, that's where you were.
Yeah, buddy. Remember, I was like a gold club member for the pharmaceutical company.
Right.
Are you kidding me? I mean, think about it. Being sick is big business.
Oh, it is huge.
I'm telling you guys, depending on what month, it was costing me for the privilege of being ill. It was costing me anywhere from $600 to $1,000 a month for the privilege of being sick.
And that's copays.
That's correct, and that's with insurance. I mean, I'm not uninsured.
Yeah, and then on top of that, you're paying insurance.
That's correct.
So I don't know what your insurance runs a month. What was it running, or does it run?
I think about $500 a month, something like that.
So you're spending anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500 a month for your health.
That's
and you
correct.
And you didn't have it.
That's right, and I continue to get more sicker and sicker and sicker.
Right. So when you came in, and you're an upbeat guy. You always have been. You've been positive. Jeff is a consultant. He does PR work, and he does for businesses, and he does consulting work for various political campaigns, and he's been very successful in his business over the last 30 years. And I've known Jeff for 30 years. Great guy, optimistic going forward. I asked him when he came in the first time, and I had encouraged him to come in. And by the way, folks, you can see his progress by going to doa180.com. Go meet Jeff online, and you can see the various interviews we've had with him as he's come into the office. Because I said, Jeff, not only are we going to get you on a path of health and wellness, we're going to document it on video and put it online. Now, that took a lot of guts to be willing to do that. But I knew if Jeff and Sam Malone had encouraged me to have you do that, because that would keep you accountable. And it did. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm sorry, buddy. I lost you for a second. Repeat that last part.
I was going to say, Sam Malone's the one who said that we ought to document it on video and put it online to keep you accountable.
That's right. And I said, as long as I don't have to take my shirt off for the video, I'll be okay with it.
Okay, so Jeff did well. And over the first 8 months or so, I think you
84, 82 pounds, maybe?
My highest, guys, I was at 83 pounds lost. That was the highest weight loss that I'd had.
And within 2 months, you were off all your medication.
That's correct, within 7 weeks. And let me interject this real quick. 2 days ago, because I've got my own blood pressure machine at home now, 2 days ago I checked my blood pressure. And remember now, I've been off all blood pressure medication for 11 months, listeners. And my blood pressure was 120 over 64 2 days ago.
Oh, my gosh.
And when he came in on blood pressure medication, his first day in the office, it was 165 over 115, which is extremely high. The diastolic, the lower number, 115, is very high. That should be under 90 and preferably under 80. And now you've got it down to 120 over 65. Now, Jeff, as those that have been listening know, how many months ago were you hit by a driver that on a hit and run accident?
It was in January. So some of my physical problems this year started at the beginning of the year.
Right. And in the last 9 months, Jeff has been hit from behind 3 times now. I think we need to put a big bumper or something. You need something on the back of your car. I don't mean I'm talking about one of those extended bumpers with a spring on it, I mean,
or a bubble wrap or something.
Or I'm just telling. That's crazy. It's like somebody's out after you, And so, how does that happen? I mean, what are the odds of that happening to anybody? So it has happened to Jeff, and he ruptured his disc in his cervical neck, spine in the neck, and required surgery. How many months were you on your back?
Well, I tell you, it was about 2 months where I was doing most of my work from bed, believe it or not. I mean, it was very, very challenging.
And, of course, you couldn't walk anymore, and, you lay in bed, and it's not a good situation. Then he gets in another wreck, and he fractures his lower back. The doctor decides, well, we'll put you on some prednisone, which is a counterfeit to cortisol. It's a steroid. It's a drug counterfeit steroid. And, of course, when I heard about that, I said, Jeff.
It was great you intervened. You said, get off of that. It
wasn't
even really helping him.
I can try to convince a client of mine to buy me a helicopter at that point, but nobody's bid on it yet.
So anyway, we got to get Jeff back on track because of this. You gained back 20 or 30 pounds over the last, during the spring when you had these accidents and you were back on your back and you were in the hospital, and so it set you back.
That's correct. It set me back. But you know what, though, everybody, I've learned a very valuable lesson these past over 9 months since my first accident, and it's just been a challenging time physically. With multiple car accidents, wrecks, surgery, kidney stones, and then I had the flu, for crying out loud. But I'm not saying that to whine. What I'm saying is life happens, and so I just had to make a decision that there's only 2 decisions to make. Either I'm going to give up or I'm going to get on with it. And so I just decided that I'm going to get on with it. And the good news is, because of everything that had happened, I did have significant weight gain, but I'm back on the way down now. In fact, as soon as I'm off this radio interview, I've got time between meetings. I'm going to go walk my 2.5 miles. So I'm back up to full exercise now and just feeling fantastic. So listeners, you can do it. You just have to get your mind right, you know, and the thing about it is nobody can do it for you. We can have wonderful coaches like Dr. Hotze and his excellent team, but we have to make the decision to do it, Dr. Hotze. I mean, that's the bottom line.
And you've done it, and congratulations. By the way, we did put him on thyroid and have him on thyroid medication, testosterone, vitamins and minerals, and all this has helped him get off his pharmaceutical drugs. Well, Jeff, thank you for joining us today. Guess who's coming on the next segment, Jeff?
Who?
Jared Woodfill. And
I'll be listening. God bless you.
He's going to talk about the flooding issue here in Houston and what you can do about it if your home was flooded.
Great. Okay. Well, then, everyone, if any of the symptoms that we were talking about with Jeff Yates, that high blood pressure, the weight gain, you know, you've been put on a lot of pharmaceutical drugs, just know that there is a natural way to address that. You can give us a call at 281-698-8698. It's 281-698-8698. You are listening to Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution. Please stay tuned.
Now back to Wellness Revolution, your 100% organic, farm-raised, grass-fed, gluten-free, cage-free, non-GMO radio show. Here's Dr. Hotze.
Welcome back to Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution. This is Stacey Banville with Dr. Hotze.
My goodness.
And it's his fault that I'm laughing so hard. Viewers sick and tired being sick and tired. No, there's a natural way to address your health issues. One of the ways you can do that is through laughter. Laughter is really good for you. So if you want to find out more natural ways to address your health issues, you can call us at 281-698-8698. It's 281-698-8698. Here's Dr. Hotze.
We were laughing because during the break, I was looking at some Facebook comic videos. It's called Funny Pink, Funny P-I-N-K-K. And last night I was laying in bed. I started at midnight, you know, and I'm just looking at something on Facebook. And all these Facebook posts come up from Funny Pink, and they're the funniest things. I was rolling in bed crying last night. I'm surprised it didn't wake Janie up, but that's what we were laughing. I showed them a couple of them.
A bunch of funny pranks.
They're pranks. They're so funny. Okay, you heard the great story of Jeff Yates and how he has done a 180. His goal is to get down to 180. That's his playing weight in high school. So we're going to keep you posted. I gave Jeff 2 years to do this. He's got a ways to go. He's still got to lose about 150 pounds.
He's committed, though. He's been through a lot. 3 car wrecks. I mean, bedridden for part of the process, and yet. He has made a lot of progress getting off the drugs.
He was doing tremendous, and then he had these accidents, and so that threw him back. But he's got a positive attitude, and Jeff is going to do it. You go to do180.com and hear Jeff's story. So if you're thinking, I can't do it, I mean, I'm too far gone, take a look at Jeff, and he'll give you some encouragement. Today, I wanted to bring on board my good friend, Jared Woodfill, who's an attorney here in town. Jared was the chairman of the Harris County Republican Party for 12 years up until 2014, did a wonderful job leading the conservative movement here in Houston, and he's also president of Conservative Republicans of Texas, and also president of Restoring Our Godly Heritage. Jeff is a practicing attorney in town, and he is working now on this whole issue of helping individuals whose homes were flooded to be made whole again. Now, Jared, why don't you tell us about what happened with the flooding here in Houston during the hurricane that we had, Hurricane
Harvey.
Anyway, there was flooding going on, and only 20% of the people had flood insurance, and you think they're basically out of luck. Tell us, what are the potentials for individuals, and what are you providing? What kind of legal services are you providing individuals that would help them basically restore themselves financially from the flooding?
Sure. Well, let me begin by just thanking you and Stacy for having me on your show and all the great work you're doing. But as you know, a lot of Houstonians and folks all over Harris County are suffering right now. They're suffering as a result of this devastating storm that has destroyed their homes, destroyed their cars, and displaced them. And so a lot of them have gone to their homeowners policies, and they've asked for help, and they've been turned down because, as we know, homeowners policies don't cover for floods. What they do cover for is wind-driven rain or damage resulting from wind-driven rain. And so that's a very limited amount of damage that folks suffered from Harvey. And as you just stated earlier, most people don't have flood insurance. So in a lot of these cases, people are just looking for a way to be made whole, a way to get back what they lost. And so there's obviously some programs you can try to get some relief through FEMA. That's never near enough of what you need. But there's something very unique about this particular hurricane, Hurricane Harvey, that we didn't experience in past hurricanes, whether it be Alicia or any of the others that preceded Harvey. Most of us are familiar with two reservoirs. There's what's called the Addicks and the Barker reservoirs. They're on both sides of I-10. You've got the Addicks, which is up to the north of I-10, and then on the other side of I-10 you have the Barker reservoirs. Well, these reservoirs were built in 1940, completed in 1945. And the whole purpose of the reservoirs at the time was to prevent homes along Buffalo Bayou and the downtown Houston from actually being flooded. And so they were earthen dams, unlike the Hoover Dam, which is made of concrete. These are just earthen dams where they build up the earth and use it as a way to stop water from flowing past the dam. So these dams over time started to deteriorate. And the dams are actually operated by what's called the Army Corps of Engineers. And at one point, as of the past few years, these dams have been identified as Class 1 dams, extremely risky dams. Yet nothing was done to actually repair them, to restore them, or to move them out of that status. So along comes Hurricane Harvey, and we're getting torrential rainfall, and these reservoirs start to build up. And build up and build up and build up. And so you have two things that are occurring. You have folks that are living behind the dam in areas that we call upstream. And as those dams are building up, imagine a bathtub. When you put a stopper on a bathtub, what happens? The water starts at the top, right, at the front of the bathtub where the stopper is, and as it continues to flood, it goes back towards the back of the tub. So all of those homes that were behind the dam that were developed over the past 70, 80 years started to experience severe flooding. This is called the flood pool. So these homes were built in the flood pool. And then you've got homes that were downstream, homes that were on Buffalo Bayous and bayous connecting to Buffalo Bayou, Brays Bayou, you name it. So the Army Corps of Engineers understood and appreciated that there was an issue regarding the integrity of the dam, and that if they continued to allow the dam to fill up, that there was a potential for the dam to actually break, which would have resulted in tens of thousands of homes being destroyed and potentially lives being taken.
Now, Jared, we're going to come back. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back on the fourth segment. And Jared Woodfill, who's an attorney here in town representing hundreds of individuals whose homes have been flooded, is going to tell us the legal remedy that you have if your home was flooded, on how you potentially could be made whole again. So we thank Jared for being with us. We'll be back with Jared Woodfill in the coming segment.
Absolutely. You are listening to Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution. Please stay tuned.
This Revolution. Here's Dr. Hotze.
This is Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution, and we are on a mission to help you achieve health and wellness naturally. If you want to do a 180 and take charge of your health, and give us a call today at 281-698-8698. That's 281-698-8698. And a reminder to go to hotzepodcast.com. That's HOTZE podcast.com. There you can find all of our radio programs and all of our future programming. So be sure to download and become a subscriber today. It's absolutely free and informative and fun. All right, and here we are with your host, Dr. Stephen Hotze.
Thank you so much, Stacy, and thank each one of you for joining us today on Wellness Revolution. We have a special topic that we're covering this last 30 minutes of our program, and that is the disaster that occurred in a certain percentage of the population that lived both west and east of the Barker and the Addicks reservoirs, and their homes were flooded. Most of the individuals whose homes were flooded had no home insurance. Less than 20% had home insurance, flood insurance, that is. And because of that, they're basically wiped out, because who's going to buy a home that was flooded? I mean, it's a terrible situation. Their homes were flooded anywhere from a foot to 5 or 6 feet. They've had to rip out the sheetrock. They're going to have problems with mold. They got black water, which contained pathogenic bacteria from sewage into their homes, as well as the mold. And this is going to create health problems over the next several years as people try to repair their homes, but they don't really properly get rid of the mold or the pathogenic bacteria, and they're going to produce toxic toxins that are going to be, given off in the air, and they're going to breathe these toxins. These toxins can cause health problems, severe health problems over a period of time, in a period of 1 to 2 years, inhaling the toxins from the mold and from the pathogenic bacteria. So, and then what happens is when they get their homes repaired, if they want to go sell their homes, when you sell your home, a person has 30 to 60 days to check it out, and they're going to do air quality tests. And if you have mold in your home or these toxins in your home, the air quality is not going to pass muster. You're going to have a high mold count, and you're going to be on a mold registry, and you're not going to be able to sell your home. So these homes have dramatically decreased in value. So people have lost hundreds of thousands of dollars in value on their homes. And what can they do? Jared, tell us about it.
Well, as we were talking about, we had this situation where the reservoirs were at capacity and about to be compromised because there were a whole host of problems with those reservoirs. So they had to make a decision. And so the decision was that they were going to open the floodgates. And when they opened the floodgates, they allowed water to escape at a torrential rate of 16,000 cubic feet per second. Now, you put that in perspective. Typically, it's about 2,000 cubic feet per second. And so what happens then is, all those homes along Buffalo Bayou are destroyed. They're flooded. And so homes that didn't flood during Allison or during Ike or the, tax day floods are suddenly being destroyed. And that's what folks are probably witnessing as they drive around Harris County right now. And then for all those folks up in Canyon Lake and Cinco Ranch and Twin Oaks and all those subdivisions around the reservoir and behind the reservoir, those upstream cases that we're talking about, they too were being flooded because the water was pooling back into those areas where arguably they shouldn't have even been building homes. So we've got a situation now where the government had to make a decision. They made a decision to protect the integrity of the dam. They had to make a decision to protect a public purpose, but in order to do that, they had to take private property. Now, many of us are familiar with the situation where the DPS or railroad will come out and say, hey, we're going to have to take your property and build a road in front of your house or your business, or we're going to have to lay railroad tracks or get a pipeline easement. That's a condemnation case. That's a taking case. And typically you file a lawsuit and you hash it out, you come to a settlement, and they pay you just and right compensation for that land. This is a little different. This is called inverse condemnation. This is when the government decides to take your property prior to actually initiating an action against you. And it's our position that there was a taking when the Army Corps of Engineers, the Harris County Flood Control District, and others decided to open up the floodgates and allow the pooling to occur and take a whole host of properties in order to protect the integrity of the reservoirs. And so under the Fifth Amendment to the United States Constitution, under Article 1, Section 17 of the state constitution, that constitutes a taking of someone's private property, in my opinion, which entitles those individuals to compensation. And so it deals with all the things you just previously described: rebuilding, remediating your home, getting rid of the mold, getting rid of the black water issues that may leave your home with a toxic mess. And so that's what we're pursuing for individuals that we represent. We're looking at a whole host of things. We're looking at the insurance coverage and the potential coverage issues there, because there may be some. If you have flood insurance, we're helping to deal with the adjusters on that particular issue. We are looking at the takings case under the Fifth Amendment, the inverse condemnation cases that I just described. And so we have the honor of representing a whole great group of individuals all around Harris County, and we believe when it's all said and done, we're going to be successful.
So if someone had their home flooded, and they were particularly in the Barker Cypress area, and it was either back pooling or else they were downstream and their homes were flooded when they opened up the floodgates to protect the integrity of the dams, and also which in turn protected hundreds of thousands of other homes so they wouldn't be flooded. What's a person to do? How do they gain representation, and if they wanted to contact you, Jared, to represent them in this lawsuit? I know you're representing several hundred clients already. How do they get in touch with you, and what would that entail? What happens? How do they enlist your service?
Well, what they do is they give us a call at 713-751-3080, and
let's
we would actually
repeat
talk.
That number again.
Sure, 713-751-3080.
713-751
3080.
Okay, and this is what is it listed under?
Woodfill Law Firm.
Woodfill, Woodfill Law Firm.
Right, and we give them a free consultation, and so we talk to them about their case, about their individual home and the individual issues that they've experienced, and then we give them options of what their potential legal remedies are. And then if they decide to move forward, they can move forward with us. We sign people up on what's called a contingency fee basis, meaning we don't make anything unless we win the case, and we advance all the costs in the case, and if we were to lose, then we lose all those costs and we lose all of our time. And so that's how a typical situation and how we work. And remember, this isn't just limited to the Barker Addicts reservoirs. You also have issues that have developed up in Conroe and Montgomery County involving
Kingwood,
the San Jacinto River Authority.
Kingwood, even down in Friendswood.
Friendswood too, and down in the whole Clear Creek area, we represent folks, and so this is a disaster that has impacted folks from Montgomery County all the way down to Brazoria and Galveston County.
So they can contact you at 713-751-3080. That's Woodfill Law Firm, and I'd highly recommend, if you haven't got legal representation on this and you're just wringing your hands and wondering what you're going to do, this gives you the opportunity to potentially be made whole again.
That's right.
And really you deserve it, because your house was taken and destroyed to save hundreds of thousands of other homes, and the public owes you a remedy on that. I mean, it's pretty straightforward, and it's fair and equitable. So I want to thank you, Jared, for the work
Jared, thank you.
that you're doing this work to help represent hundreds of clients, and making yourself available to the people in the greater Houston area who really are in a heck of a mess because their homes were flooded. Thank you so much.
Well, I want to thank you, Dr. Hotze and Stacy, for inviting me to be on. It's just an honor to consider you friends.
Great.
All right, thank you, Jared. And I'm going to throw out that number one more time because it's so great that there might be some legal recourse for some of you out there who were flooded. So that is 713-751-3080. That's 713-751-3080. Woodfill Law Firm. Well, it's so great to have you join us today here at Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution. Have a blessed and wonderful day.
Information provided on this radio program is neither intended nor implied to be a substitute for professional medical advice, and is not intended to replace the services of a physician, nor does it constitute a doctor-patient relationship. You should not use information from this radio program to diagnose or treat a health problem or disease without consulting with a qualified healthcare provider. If you have or suspect you have an urgent medical problem, promptly contact a professional healthcare provider or call 911. Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution radio program advises you to always seek the advice of a physician or other qualified health provider prior to starting any new treatment or with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Any application of the recommendations from this radio program is at the